Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya Stotra Shata Shishimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem se ko Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Maya Ki Jai Jamuna Maya Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai Samaveta Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. All glories to the Samud devotees. All glories to the Samud devotees. All glories to the Samud devotees. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.
Welcome everybody to Caitanya Caritamrita, His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami. It is Thursday, August 14th, 2025. Today we're starting with Caitanya Caritamrita, Adi-lila 16:16. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Guru Maharaj, we're glad to have you back today. Would you like to read? You're muted.
Thank you. Okay. Tarja Prabhu Shange, Navadvipa Vashi, Prabhu Agya Dilo, Tumi Jao Varanasi. Tapan Mishra desired to live with the Lord in Navadvip, but the Lord asked him to go to Varanasi, Benares. Taha Ama Shange Tomar, Obe Dorashon, Agyapan Mishra Koilo, Kashite Gomon. The Lord assured Tapan Mishra that they would meet again in Varanasi. Receiving this order, Tapan Mishra went there. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Shaminiti Namine Namaste Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Ashtatya Deshatarani. We find Tar Ichcha Prabhu Shange Navadvipa Vashi. Tar Ichcha, his desire, Tapan Mishra's desire was Prabhu Shange Navadvipe Vashi. to live there in Navadvip with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Prabhu Agya Dilo, Tumi Jao Varanasi. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire was that you go to Varanasi. So Tapan Mishra did it. The Lord said, "You don't worry, sometime in the future we'll meet again in Varanasi." So Tapan Mishra took the order and, despite his own desire, went to Varanasi. So this is Krishna consciousness. I may have my desire, but when Krishna expresses his desire, then as Prabhupada said, we become yes men. Yes, sir. What you desire, Kodeshe Vachanam Sabha. I'll do what you say. Good.
We have a comment from Radesha Prabhu. Prabhu Datta Desha.
Yes. Prabhu Atarkya-lila Pujite Napadi. Shvashanga Charana Kene Artai Kashipuri. I cannot understand the inconceivable pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. For although Tapan Mishra wanted to live with him in Navadvip, the Lord advised him to go to Varanasi. Purport. When Tapan Mishra met him, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was living in household life, and there was no indication that in the future he would accept the sannyas order. But by asking Tapan Mishra to go to Varanasi, he indicated that in the future he would accept sannyas, and that when he would teach Sanatana Goswami, Tapan Mishra would take advantage of the opportunity to learn the object of life and the real process for attaining it. So this is Krishna. He has his own plan. Sometimes it may seem to us that we're being disadvantaged, that we're being frustrated, that whatever. We have a perfectly good plan, but Krishna's not letting it happen. Or the spiritual master won't let me do what I want to do, which is clearly the best thing. But when the devotee surrenders to the order of the Lord or the order of the spiritual master, then we follow Krishna's plan. Our plan is less important. Krishna's plan, Krishna's divine plan, is the real thing. E mota bonger loker koila mahahito nam dia bhakta koilo varana ondito. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu contributed the greatest benefit to the people of East Bengal by initiating them into Harinam, chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and making them learned scholars by educating them. Purport. Following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna consciousness movement is distributing the Mahamantra and inducing people all over the world to chant. We're giving people an immense treasury of transcendental literature, translated into all the important languages of the world. And by the grace of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this literature is selling profusely, and people are chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra with great delight. This is the preaching process of the Chaitanya cult. Since the Lord wanted this cult preached all over the world, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is acting in a humble way so that the vision of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu may be fulfilled all over the world in the Western countries. So this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, Mahahito. Hita means welfare work. Lokanam hitakarino. The Goswamis did the greatest welfare work for the whole world. So the Prabhupada's expressing here, we're distributing literature, we're teaching people to chant Hare Krishna. This is the welfare work of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So it may be humble, yes, it may be humble, but it's authorized. E matabonge Prabhu kore nana lila eta nabadvipe lakmi birohe dukhi hoilo. Because the Lord was engaged in various preaching work, in various ways in preaching work in East Bengal, his wife Lakshmi Devi was very unhappy at home in separation from her husband. Prabhu Biraha Sharpa Lakshmir Dongshilo Iraha Sharpo Bishe Dar Paraloka Hilo. The snake of separation bit Lakshmi Devi, and its poison caused her death. Thus, she passed to the next world. She went back home, back to Godhead. It seems, well, there's a metaphor here about the serpent of separation. It seems that Lakshmi Devi was bitten by a snake, literally. But here it's taken that the snake that took her life was the serpent of separation from the Lord. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, yam yam vapi smaran bhavam chachatyante kalevaram. One's practice and thinking throughout his entire life determines the quality of his thoughts at death. And thus, at death, one obtains a suitable body. According to this principle, Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune from Vaikuntha, who was absorbed in thought of the Lord in separation from him, certainly went back home to Vaikuntha Loka after death. It's indicated here, or we understand from Srila Prabhupada's teachings, that these feelings of separation bring about the most intense remembrance of the Lord. When there's meeting, then certainly one thinks of the Lord. But when there's separation, then one becomes practically mad in thought of the Lord. And we have in the 10th canto, Brahmara Gita, where Srimati Radharani is utterly mad in separation from Krishna, and therefore talking to a bee, as if the bee were a messenger from Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his later years in the Gambhira, was in a similar mood. Shunyayatam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Vidahiname, feeling intense separation from the Lord, and therefore always intensely absorbed in thought of him. So here from Bhagavad Gita, whatever one thinks of at the time of death, yes, at the time of death, determines one's next destination. Tam tamevayati kaunteya. Sadatad bhava bhavitam. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu. Mamanusmara yujucha. Therefore, Krishna recommends that throughout one's life, one should perform one's prescribed duties and at the same time think of him. Srila Prabhupada gives the example that a woman with another husband or with another lover beside her husband remains engaged in her household work very nicely, so their husband won't suspect anything. But she's always thinking, when will I meet my lover? When will I meet my lover? So Prabhupada said this is lover consciousness. So if there can be lover consciousness, why not Krishna consciousness? There's a comment or two, which I can't read from where I'm sitting.
Saraswati Mataji writes, Pranams Param Puja Maharaj and all the Vaishnavas. So did Lakshmi Mata associate with Krishna as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as she wanted this association with Krishna before too?
I don't think I understand the intent of the question. Or I don't think I understand what's being asked. She must have attained the association of Mahaprabhu again. That's indicated by Srila Prabhupada's purport. That she went back to Vaikuntha. I assume to mean that she went back to the association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I don't know if that answers the question.
Maharaj Shri, what I meant was previously we had understood that Lakshmi Mata always wanted to associate with Krishna, but she couldn't due to various reasons. One of them being she wasn't willing to give up that the opulence and the lifestyle. But here can we understand that she ultimately did have association with Krishna in the form of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Because it says she went to Vaikuntha. It didn't say she went back to Goloka. Hare Krishna.
Well, two things. One is Lakshmi Devi always has the association of Krishna, but only in the form of Srimati Radharani, not in her form as Lakshmi Devi. The Lakshmi Devi is the expansion of Srimati Radharani. So in her original form, she has association with the original personality of Godhead. In her expanded form, she has the association of Lord Narayan and Vaikuntha. The Lakshmi Devi here is not in the Vaikuntha mood. Her name is Lakshmi, but she's the wife of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. She's not an opulent, regal goddess of fortune. She's the wife of a Brahmin, and specifically, she's the wife of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When it says Vaikuntha Loka, I wouldn't necessarily take that to mean the Vaikuntha planets. The entire spiritual world can also be called Vaikuntha. So I don't see a clear indication here that Lakshmi, but this Lakshmi was the goddess of fortune who lives in a regal manner in Vaikuntha planets, and therefore she went back there. Her thoughts would have been absorbed in thinking of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Padaloka, that's the the text, Paraloka Hoila. She went to the next world, the transcendental world. Well, I wouldn't take it to mean the opulent world of the Vaikuntha planets. Hare Krishna.
We have a comment in the chat. Praveen Prabhu writes, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. A Soka Nama Bali Laya Mahamantra Sola Nama Latrisha Akshara A Tantra. This verse is called the Maha Mantra. It contains 16 holy names of the Lord composed of 32 syllables. Sarite Sarite Yabe Praman Kura Habe Sadhya Sadhana Tattva Janiba Se Tabe. If you continually chant this Maha Mantra, the seed of love of God will sprout in your heart. Then you will understand the goal of life and the process for achieving it. Chaitanya Bhagavat Adi, chapter 14.
Yes, this is especially the proof text that the Lord recommended the chanting of this particular mantra. I'm not quite sure in what context Praveen Krishna has posted this, but it's always welcome.
Guru Maharaj, I have a question on this verse. Usually I think of that Bhagavad Gita verse about one's thoughts at the time of death applying more to the conditioned souls whose lives are risky, and if they're not thinking of Krishna, they can fall down. So why is this being talked about?
Why?
Why is this being talked about in the context of Lakshmi?
I think it's being taken as instructive. Of course, Lakshmi Devi, or the consort of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, naturally went back to the spiritual world. There's no question about that. But as far as I can see, the opportunity is being taken to instruct us that her mind must have been absorbed in thought of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and therefore she must have gone back to Godhead. She's certainly not a sadhaka, a person practicing bhakti yoga. She's on the platform of being the Lord's eternal transcendental potency. But the opportunity is being taken to instruct us in what we have to do. Is that all right?
Yes, thank you, Guru Maharaj. Praveen Prabhu writes, she kept always engaged in the service of Mother Sachi without eating anything since the Lord's departure. She accepted some rice only in name, for she was deeply distressed in separation from the Lord. She passed the nights alone, crying incessantly. Her heart found no relief for even a moment. Eventually, Lakshmi could no longer tolerate separation from the Lord, and she desired to join him. Lakshmi left a replica body on the bank of the Ganges in this world and went invisibly to the side of the Lord. Chaitanya Bhagavat Adi, chapter 14.
Thank you. So that confirms what I'd assumed, that Lakshmi Devi, the consort of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, naturally returned to the side of the Lord in his own transcendental abode, which is included in the Vaikuntha realm. because generically Vaikuntha can mean the whole spiritual world. Okay. Anture Janila Prabhu Date Antarjami Deshire Aila Prabhu Shachitu Kajan. Lord Chaitanya knew about the disappearance of Lakshmi Devi because he is the super soul himself. Thus he returned home to solace his mother, Shachi Devi, who was greatly unhappy about the death of her daughter-in-law. Hare Aila Prabhu Bahular Dhanajan Tatvagane Koila Shachir Dukha Vimochan. When the Lord returned home, bringing with him great wealth and many followers, he spoke to Shachi Devi about transcendental knowledge to relieve her of the grief she was suffering. Purport. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Dehinosmin yata dehe komaram joganam jara, ta dehantara praptir yirastatra namunchyati. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. Such verses from the Bhagavad Gita or any other Vedic literature give valuable instructions on the occasion of someone's passing away. By discussing such instructions from the Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, a sober man can certainly understand that the soul never dies, but rather passes from one body to another. This is called transmigration of the soul. A soul comes into this material world and creates bodily relationships with a father, a mother, sisters, brothers, a wife, children. But all these relationships pertain to the body, not the soul. Therefore, as described in the Bhagavad Gita, Dhiras tatra namukyati, one who is sober is not disturbed by such phenomenal changes within this material world. Such instructions are called tattvakatha, or real truth. So Tattvagyan, the Lord gave Shachi Devi instructions in Tattvagyan, transcendental knowledge, to relieve her of her dukkha, her unhappiness. We find this in many places in Srimad Bhagavatam. One that comes to mind is after the end of the Kurukshetra war, Lord Krishna solaced those who had lost their relatives in the fight. As I recall, that was what happened. And there are many other such occasions. It's not that one just went and sat by the side of the afflicted party and held their hands and said, oh, 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 or sought to divert their minds to something more pleasant. Not at all. The way of solacing a person in such circumstances, according to the Vedic culture, is by giving transcendental knowledge. because on the platform of transcendental knowledge, all miseries are destroyed. That's not to say that one has to be callous and coarse and what's the word? Yeah, callous and coarse, and can't have a empathic mood. But the real empathy comes in giving spiritual knowledge. This is the way it is. This is the truth. And by understanding the truth, one transcends happiness and distress. So here we find that this is what the Lord did when he returned to Navadvip. He solaced his mother by giving transcendental instructions. There's some other comments.
Desha Prabhu writes, we may get excited to have Dana Jana, but Mahaprabhu prays Na Danam Na Janam. And yet here's this verse. Such is the Lord's opulence and detachment.
Yes. It's mentioned by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur that this was the Lord's reason for going to East Bengal. He'd married, and when you marry, you need some money. So the Lord went to East Bengal. I forget exactly the language Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur uses, but it's to the effect of for the acquisition of wealth. If you marry, you need some money. So it was practical. That was, and then when he came back, he brought money. He had some followers also. So that was according to plan. But by the time he arrived, Lakshmi Devi had expired because of separation. From one point of view, this is also one of the, well, when we apply it practically, we can take it that yes, as a householder, I should make it my business to earn some money. Not that I'll be an avadhuta brahmachari, only I'll have a wife, but I'll continue the same happy-go-lucky lifestyle that I had in brahmachari life. And no, now that I'm married, I have responsibilities. I have to maintain the establishment, so I have to make some money. I've quoted somewhere. Yes, I've quoted in the Vanaprastha book that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed now that I think concerning Vasudeva Datta, that now that as a householder, his duty is to, among his duties is that he needs some money. Let's see. Let's see if I find that. Grihashta hoyeni ho chahiye sanchoy na koile, kutumba bharana nahi hoy. Let's just close something here. Yes. In Adi-lila, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, being a householder, he needs to save some money. Unless one saves some money, it's not possible to maintain one's family. And then coincidentally, not coincidentally, but while we're at it, on the same page, I found what Bhaktivinoda Thakur said in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Life and Precepts. Being a married man, he went to eastern Bengal on the banks of the Padma for acquirement of wealth. So that's the first thing. If you're married, you have to get some wealth. In an interview I did with Rajabihari Prabhu for the Vanaprastha book, I asked if he had some advice for Vanaprasthas or prospective Vanaprasthas. One of his suggestions was, well, when you get married, go to it and go out and earn some shekels. Go out and earn some money while you're young, because that will help stabilize your affairs and provide some arrangement that will be helpful when it's time for retirement. There'll be some funds for maintaining the wife and so on. So these things are all there. For brahmacharis and sannyasis, the accumulation of wealth is not at all good. But for a householder, this is one of their duties: accumulate some wealth. Not excessively, not extravagantly, but you'll need some money because that's householder life. Another lesson we might draw here is that this is one of the difficulties of householder life. One, we get married to be happy wife and family all together, but then the husband spends, half his time or more traveling around selling something or attending meetings for this or that, or doing whatever or serving in the army or what have you. So we make all of we have in mind that we'll have a nice life together, but often what happens is that to maintain our nice life together, we have to go in separate directions. We see this very often in many times where the wife stays at home, wife and family stay at home, and then the husband goes to America to work and make some money. Or in Dubai, we see there are many people who come, workers who come from Bangladesh, and they live in barracks and do construction work and skimp and save and send money back to their family at home. So although their aim is to live together nicely, the wife is at home and the husband is someplace else. So there's no immediate benefit there, not even living in the same country. So that's the a downside of family life. Even someone commented about one of his parents who was, I forget which devotee it was, but he said that, we were living in Long Island or wherever it is, but actually my father lived in his factory, because that's where, practically speaking, he spent most of his time. So it is with arrangements for happiness in this world. Hare Krishna.
We have a question.
Yes.
Saraswati Masterji writes, although we have this transcendental knowledge about the eternal soul, when a Vaishnava, especially an Acharya, does disappear from the planet, we cannot stop from feeling intense grief. So how can we balance our emotions, especially if we are in a female body that naturally feels so much?
Well, this is natural, male or female. One feels the absence of the devotee to be so painful. Narottam Das Thakur, although not female, says, I'll beat my head against the rocks because of the absence of the Vaishnav. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was talking with Ramananda Roy, I think that was one of the questions. What's the greatest unhappiness in this world? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you know of no greater unhappiness than separation from the Vaishnava. So Prabhupada explained how to mitigate that also. He said that when we feel separation from the Vaishnava, we should remember his transcendental words of instruction. And then we'll feel relief. He gave the example of Arjuna after the disappearance of Lord Krishna from this world. Arjuna felt devastated that history is there, how he had gone out to get news of Krishna. And then when he came back to Hastinapur, Yudhishthira Maharaj could see that Arjuna was overcome with grief. But then Arjuna remembered the Lord's instructions, and the Bhagavatam says that the trash in his mind subsided, and he was situated again on the transcendental plane. So Prabhupada said, when we remember the instructions of the spiritual master, then we won't feel that he's far away. We'll feel that he's with us. Hare Krishna.
Guru Maharaj, I have a question following up on that.
Yes.
Sometimes we hear Prabhupada saying that his Guru Maharaj is with him. What does Srila Prabhupada mean by that?
There's no difference. The spiritual master is on the absolute platform. And therefore, there's no difference between the spiritual master and his words of instruction. Therefore, Prabhupada, in his Bhagavatam dedication, he lives forever by his divine instructions, and the follower lives with him. That story is told by Srila Bhakti Charamaj also, that he once said to Srila Prabhupada, I wish that I could have been with you to serve you when you were all alone in those earliest days in New York. And Srila Prabhupada said, I was never alone. He said, my Guru Maharaj was always with me. So, of course, his Guru Maharaj wasn't physically with him. And it's not some kind of something resembling a hypnotic trance where we picture the Guru and then he exists with us in some sort of subtle trance world in some subtle way. But it's practical that one serves the instruction of the spiritual master, and then one is always with the spiritual master by the transcendental process. Otherwise, if I'm not serving the spiritual master, even if I'm physically in his presence, I'm not there. One may be physically in immediate touch with the spiritual master. But if my consciousness is elsewhere, then I'm elsewhere. I'm elsewhere. And one may be millions of miles away, but if one's consciousness is focused on carrying out the words of the spiritual master, then the spiritual master is there with me. Hare Krishna. The thought came to my mind as we're reading this, that I'm doing my best to read this Bengali without knowing Bengali. But if Barnali has a book, it would really be nice if she would read the Bengali verses, because she's qualified to read them. So
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. I unfortunately cannot read Bengali. I'm so sorry.
but even if you would, yes.
Yeah, because it's like I grew up and stayed outside of West Bengal most of the time, and
Yes.
so I know English and Hindi. Sorry about
English
that.
and Hindi and not Bengali.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
All right. Well, I don't even know Hindi, what to speak of knowing Bengali, and Spanish doesn't help. All right, but we have time for a little bit more reading. Shishyagon la puna vidya bilash vidya bole shabajini au tatya prakash. After coming back from East Bengal, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again began educating others. By the strength of his education, he conquered everyone, and thus he was greatly proud. This is his pastime, a person who has education, vidya, and can become proud. Tobe Vishnu Priya Thakuranir Podanoy, Tobe Ta Korila Prabhu, Digbi Jai Joy. Then Lord Chaitanya married Vishnu Priya, the goddess of fortune. And thereafter he conquered a champion of learning named Keshav Kashmiri. Purport. As in the modern day, there are many champions in sports. So in bygone days, there were many learned scholars in India who were champions in learning. One such person was Keshav Kashmiri, who came from the state of Kashmir. He traveled all over India and at last came to Navadvip to challenge the learned scholars there. Unfortunately, he could not conquer the learned scholars in Navadvip, for he was defeated by the boy scholar Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Later he understood that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus he surrendered unto him and later became a pure Vaishnava in the Sampradaya of Nimbarka. He wrote Kaustubha Prabha, a commentary on the Vedanta commentary of the Nimbarka Sampradaya, which is known as the Parijata Passion. The Bhakti Ratnakara mentions Keshav Kashmiri, and lists his predecessors in the disciplic succession of the Nimbarka Sampradaya. 1. Srinivasacharya, 2. Vishvasacharya, 3. Purushottam, 4. Vilas, 5. Sharup, 6. Madhava, 7. Balabhadra, 8. Padma, 9. Shama, 10. Gopala, 11. Kripa, 12. Deva Acharya, 13. Sundara Bhatta, 14, Padmanabha, 15, Upendra, 16, Ramchandra, 17, Vamana, 18, Krishna, 19, Padmakara, 20, Shravan, 21, Budi, 22, Madhava, 23, Shama, 24, Gopala, 25, Balabhadra, 26, Gopinath, 27, Keshava, 28, Gokula, and 29, Keshav Kashmiri. It is stated in the Bhakti Ratnakara that Keshav Kashmiri was a favorite devotee of Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning. By her grace, he was an extremely influential scholar. He was the greatest champion among all the scholars in the four corners of the country. Therefore, he got the title Digvijay, which means one who has conquered everyone in all directions. He belonged to a very respectable Brahmin family of Kashmir. Later, by the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave up the profession of winning championships and became a great devotee. He joined the Nimbarka Sampradaya, one of the Vaishnava communities of the Vedic culture. Vrindavana dasha iha variyachen vishtar spurta nahi kore dosha guner vichar. Vrindavan Das Thakur has previously elaborately described this. That which is clear need not be scrutinized for good qualities and faults. Shay Amsha Kahi Kare Kori Namaskar Ya Shuni Digbijai Velo Apana Tikka. Offering my obeisances to Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, I shall try to describe that portion of the Lord's analysis, which, when he heard it, made the Digvijay feel himself condemned. Well, that's a good place to stop, I think. 1628.
We have some questions. Saraswati Mataji writes, since Keshav Kashmiri understood Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, why did he join another sampradaya and not follow Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's sampradaya?
Yes, interesting question. It appears to me, well, let's see, let me just think about that just for one moment before I start spilling out words. One thing is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sampradaya doesn't appear to have been a very organized structure at that time. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was still in householder life. He hasn't accepted sannyas. The Goswamis hadn't yet joined him. So we don't get a picture here that there's a formal or systematic sampradaya existing around Lord Chaitanya at that time. Also, I would take this, the way this is presented, as indicating that there's a sort of openness and cooperative or collegial feeling among the sampradayas that's reflected here. It's not that there's no indication from Kaviraj Goswami that Keshav Kashmir joined some rival sampradaya, some foreign group, something that was in opposition to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He surrendered to Lord Chaitanya and took initiation in the authorized sampradaya, or unauthorized sampradaya. So, yes, an Nimbarka sampradaya, which in many ways shares features of Lord Chaitanya's teachings. So it wasn't taken as, oh, he joined some, like we're used to it in our present context. If you go outside of ISKCON, it's like a major scandal. And it's not that I'm advocating going outside of ISKCON, but it was a different time and a different atmosphere and a different set of circumstances. And if someone joined the Nimbarka Sampradaya, fine. He became an Nimbarki. He was a wrangling scholar, a professional debater, or professional debater. And now he became a Vaishnava. So how wonderful. Not that people were, the Vaishnavas, Navadip were scorning him. I joined the Nimbarka Sampradaya. Yeah, it's good. It's wonderful. He became a Vaishnava. Hare Krishna.
Murari Gupta Prabhu writes, Hare Krishna Maharaj, do you know of many incidences of this competitive debating in cultures outside of India? Also, we're nearing the end of our time.
Yeah, there's an Oxford Union. Great, they decided to practice the play and turn it live and broadcast it on here. Hold on a second, see if I can block that out. Or is that coming through to you also?
It's coming through. Now we can't hear it.
Okay.
Oh, we can hear a little bit, but it's not
a disturbance.
disruptive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's an Oxford Union at Oxford University where they hold sort of high-profile debates between learned scholars. I know there was a celebrated debate between conservative American commentator William F. Buckley and the Afro-American author James Baldwin, in which Baldwin hugely won. And that's, that was one of many debates that go a long history of the Oxford Union. And there's similar debating societies. Even in my high school, we had a debate society. And in colleges, it's quite common to find debating societies. And then we have our presidential debates, another institution. You don't have to defeat everyone in all four corners, but you do have to defeat or at least hold your own against your opponents in the race. So yes, it's not an isolated instance. Hare Krishna. And we are fully out of time. You're muted now.
Oh, yeah, my mistake. Sorry. Krishna Konteya Peru, are you available to lead kirtan?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Nita Gaur Vimnande, Vishnu Pad Ramsa, Pariraj Jagacharya Stotra, Satasri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nam Vishnu Krishna Vistaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Iti Namine, Nam Vishnu Vidaya, Krishna Vistaya Bhutale, Srimati Jai Das, Goswami Adayat Iti Namine, Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Pacharane, Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pasachade Chane, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. Jai Sri Guru and Guru Anga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Sri Advaita Ki Jai.
His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare
Mute
Krishna.
Guru Maharaj.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. So all
Hare
the play practice is reminding us of Janmashtami and Vyas Puja coming up. So we wish you an all fortunate weekend.
Hare Krishna.
On Monday, I'm flying to Iceland, so I won't be around, but I trust it's a night flight. I trust that things will go on nicely here and online. And I look forward to reading one side on the other side. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada.
Jai, Prabhupada ki jai. Jai, Swami, Swami ki jai. Hare Krishna.